Hey, Alec Torelli from Conscious Poker. Today we're going to be talking about a very serious allegation, multiple allegations in the online poker community, where high-stakes players, very well-known high-stakes players, are coming forth and saying that the sites are confiscating their player funds. Now, this is not necessarily a new phenomenon. In fact, there's posts online of this happening over the past years. But I'm bringing this up today and bringing light to it. Number one, because a new story just broke a couple days ago, so I'm going to share with you in a second. And number two, because for the first time in online poker's entire history, there is a solution to this problem, which I'm going to share with you at the end of the video, my thoughts on it and how you could get involved as well. Stay tuned for that. So this comes from Wouter Beumers, who's MMAsherdog online, very well-known high-stakes reg. I also recommend following him on X. He's putting out a lot of content recently and has some really cool stories, by the way. So shout out, Wouter, if you're doing this. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right, too. Keep up the good work. Anyway, okay, so his story comes out recently, how 888 stole $19,310.79 from me, and he says, I'm not the only one. He goes on to say, I played on 888 for years. I wanted to withdraw my funds a while ago because I quit playing there and they needed some documents. I sent the documents and waited. They responded by saying my account is banned and they will be confiscating my funds. No way. After pressuring them, they allowed me to once again send my documents. Why threaten to ban me, but then allow me to go through the process again? We went back and forth for months. Right here, I mean, already, this is assuming everything he's saying is 100% true, which I have no reason to think it's not. This is already a huge problem. Imagine going to your local bank and you want to withdraw whatever you want to withdraw and you have to wait months. This is already like a huge infraction. This should never, ever happen. Even if you were to get all the money back, which, let's see. Each time they asked for my credit card info, even though I never used a credit card to deposit. After months of delays, he goes on to say their decision was final. They were going to keep my money. I still do not know why I was banned every time they dodged the question. I've heard several players in the high-stakes community experience the same thing. Screenshots at the bottom of his post. And he goes on to say getting a lawyer to take action against this because this needs to stop. The crazy thing, too, is you look at the comments, multiple people say that they've had the same thing happen. Most notably, Faraz Jaka, very well-known, respected poker players been in the industry, 20 years. He also says, I had 888 steal some amount under 2K from me. They requested documents for me to withdraw, then just got stuck in a never-ending loop of issues and stopped getting a response from support. Also a Reddit thread, this one from 4 years ago, PokerStars froze my account with about 40K and won't pay out. So this is not a new thing. This has been happening across different sites. And again, I'm assuming, just these are alleged stories from the player's point of view, but I don't seem to have a reason to think any player would come forward to say this when that didn't happen to them. So take it for what it is, do your research. But we've seen patterns of this happening with, respected, well-known high-stakes players coming out and saying they're having their money confiscated for no apparent reason, right? It's not like they didn't get a reason that was given to it, just didn't even get a reason, right? So as I was going to publish this video, I just saw a tweet update from Wouter who says how 888 did the right thing and gave me my money back. So after he posted this, his last post went viral. It says it was the most popular post he ever shared. Representatives from 888, the sponsored pros, Aaron Barone and Ian Simpson, reached out. The next day, he says, I had a representative from 888 Poker on the phone. She apologized and promised I would get my money back by next week. A few hours after our call, my money arrived in my bank account, he says. The funny thing is, this is ironic, that even after our call, I still got a response from someone else saying their decision was final and I wouldn't get my money back. He says, I don't think they were intentionally trying to steal my funds, but their support does not seem to communicate and you end up in an endless sea of bureaucracy without anyone really steering the ship and solving problems. You can draw your own conclusions. So I'm very happy to see this be resolved in what seems like the honorable and fair way. The problem is it shouldn't have ever come to this situation. And how many other people that don't have a viral post or the social media reach or that aren't well-known high-stakes pros that don't get the support of other people reaching out to help solve this problem? How many of those people just got, swept under the rug? That is the real question here. So this is a huge problem, and this obviously needs to stop. And in a perfect world, look, the sites would have better processes. They would respond immediately. Even if he were to get his money back, it would only take a couple days. They would have to verify a document maybe to make sure that, he's a real person or that he was, playing on the site legitimately, whatever. Fine. Maybe that's reasonable. It takes a couple days. They get the money, right? That should be like the maximum that happens in a perfect world. But that is not what's happening. It's actually seemingly the complete opposite, where players are getting their money stolen. And, we keep trying as a community to sort of like fix things within the existing system, right? So we have this paradigm, we have this system over here, and it's a broken system, obviously. But we keep trying to like move puzzle pieces around or put band-aids on a knife wound, so to speak, to fix the existing system. But what if the solution was not to try and fix a broken system, but to create a new system entirely? And this is kind of what the breakthrough was with Bitcoin, for example. The fiat system is broken. And instead of trying to fix the fiat system that's always been broken, they created an entirely new monetary system that cannot be broken because the supply cannot be changed. So what if the same requirement was necessary with online poker? What if instead of trying to fix a broken system, what we actually needed was to solve the root cause of the problem and create a new system? One where we don't have to trust that the site will manage the funds correctly. Like in the case of Black Friday, everyone knows, or you were around for this, where you trust the poker site to manage your funds correctly. They're supposed to have segregated accounts between where they use their player funds and the operation accounts. They commingle those during Black Friday, and sites just confiscated them. Necessarily confiscated. They mismanaged the money, and it was basically a Ponzi. It all collapsed. The players to get their money back. So instead of having to trust the sites to manage the funds correctly, or hope that the sites won't confiscate the money, where the sites and the players have different interests, right? The sites want to keep as much money as possible, while of course being as transparent as they need to keep players coming back, and the players want to have what's theirs, which is their own money. So instead of having competing interests, and instead of having to trust the system, what if there was just a system where trust was not required? Kind of like Bitcoin. You don't trust, you verify. It's the same thing with this new paradigm that is now possible in online poker for the first time ever. So what if the solution was, and this is kind of where I want to shift the conversation to, instead of trying to fix over here, what if we just had a new system that didn't require any of these things, that didn't allow these things to even happen? What if it couldn't happen? What if the site couldn't take your money? Wouldn't that just solve all the problems? Well, that is now possible. And I'm going to explain how that solution works here today in a second. So what happens right now, just to be clear on why the paradigm is broken, why the system is broken. The system is broken because the way the system works. It's inherent to the system that it is broken, and it will always be broken. And the only way to fix it is a new system. You're going to see why in a second. So the system, how it works right now, when you deposit money onto an online poker site, you do not have custody over those funds. And this is the problem with the system. This is why the system is broken. The system is broken because you do not custody your funds. And I want you to remember that. The way this works is when you deposit money on a site, no matter which deposit method you use, credit card, crypto, whatever, it doesn't matter, that money leaves your custody, it leaves your possession, even if it's in a digital form, it leaves your control and goes into a third party's control, which is the poker site. Now you have to trust that the poker site will manage that money correctly. They won't commingle your funds. You have to trust that you'll be able to cash out at any time without any hassle. Not only is this super stressful and hectic and cause a lot of time and stress and potentially fees, even if you were to get all your money, you have to like live with that stress and hope that you're going to get that money back. Your money, another way to think about this is your money is not worth 100 cents on the dollar, right? Because you don't control it. Maybe it's worth 99 cents, 98 cents, but with a lot of variance. So you're either going to get 100% of that money back, or in the case of MMAsherdog, you're going to get zero. So, I mean, this is like catastrophic when this zero sort of scenario happens. But the problem is that you don't custody those funds. So the money leaves your account, it goes into the poker site's like account, and you're using that poker site like a bank. You're using that as a bank, and when you want to play poker, you use your poker bank account, which is the online site where the money is out of your control, to play poker on that site. Got it? Okay. So the solution is to not have those funds leave your custody, because then this could not happen. When you play poker on Phenom Poker, which I'm an ambassador for, I'm super excited about this project. I've been talking about this a lot on my channel. There's more videos about it, how it works. One of the core things they're doing differently is when you create an account on Phenom Poker, they use a third-party software to create you your own cryptocurrency wallet. This happens automatically. It's seamless. It's beautiful. And your wallet, your unique wallet, is created for you with your account. They use a software called Privy, if you're familiar with crypto, but it creates your own cryptocurrency wallet. Now, the unique thing about this is that you control that wallet. That money is not in Phenom's custody ever. So even when you deposit money on Phenom Poker, you're depositing it into your account on Phenom. And this is a huge difference. Phenom cannot take those funds. They don't custody those funds. They cannot freeze those funds. And what you don't really need to cash out, in the sense that you are already cashed out. So think of it like this. When you move money onto a traditional poker site, you're taking money from your house, for example, like if it was a physical realm, and you're going to the bank and you're giving money to the bank, and that bank is the poker site. With Phenom, when you're depositing money onto Phenom Poker, you're taking money from your house and you're putting it into a different house. You still control those funds. And so Phenom has a wallet for you, but you self-custody that wallet. You have the private keys to that wallet, for example, if you are familiar with crypto, but that wallet is within your control at all times. Phenom cannot confiscate or take those funds. It is impossible. It is not within their control. They literally can't do it. Okay. So the only time you might be wondering, well, how do I play poker then? If the funds are always in my control, when I sit down at the table, they have to not be in my control, right? To play poker. And I want you to think about what happens when you go into a casino. When you go to a casino, you have money within your control, right? It's in the pocket, it's in your box, it's in your hotel room, it's in your house, it's wherever it is within your control. And you take that money to the casino and then you sit down at a table. When you sit down at a table, whether it's a tournament or a cash game, you take that money out of your bag, your pocket, and you put that money onto the table. You take out $500 in a 2-5 game, you're playing 2-5. The money is on the table. When the money's on the table, it is not really within your control. You're betting with it, sure, but it's not like your money anymore. It's money that's in play. And the exact same thing happens in a digital way using blockchain technology with Phenom Poker. So when you sit down at a cash table, let's say you play 2-5 on Phenom, you're moving money voluntarily from your Phenom wallet, your bank account, which is the same thing as having money in your bag or money in your box or money in your hotel room. That money is in your control at all times. You're moving money from that Phenom wallet onto the table. This happens through smart contracts. And so when that money is in play on Phenom Poker, no, it is not within your control, right? It's in play, of course. When you lose money on Phenom Poker, it goes to the other player, of course, because it's in play on the table. Now, when you cash out from that table, right? You're not even cashing out. You're leaving that table, just like you do at a casino. The second you leave that table from the casino, what happens? You take your chips, you go to the cage, you get cash, and that money is back in your pocket. It's back in your box. It's back in your hotel room. It's back in your bank. It's back wherever you want to keep it. The exact same thing happens on Phenom Poker. So what happens when you want to cash out, let's say, from your Phenom wallet, right? I already mentioned that money is within your control. So it's like moving money from one house to another house. But let's say you want to move that money from your Phenom wallet. What do? Well, it's a cryptocurrency wallet. So any way that you transact with cryptocurrency, you can do with that Phenom wallet. So you can move that money to another cryptocurrency wallet that you control, where you have self-custody over that wallet. You control your own keys. You control your own keys with this wallet as well, but you can move it to a cold storage wallet. You can send it to a friend. You can transfer it to someone else. You could also send it back to whatever exchange you use to cash out the cryptocurrency. So if you use Coinbase or Gemini or Binance, whatever you use, you can send that money to that exchange. And then from that exchange, you can cash that out to your bank account, or whatever you do with your cryptocurrency, you can do in this exact fix. So whatever you do in the crypto space, you can do with that wallet. And it's instant. So you can move that money from that Phenom wallet to any other wallet that you control at any time. And it's basically free. And that money is back within your control. So the only risk, let's say, you would have is when your money is in play on Phenom Poker, because that's the only time that money is not in your control. So it is a completely new system. It is absolutely amazing. And once it's one of those things where it's hard to imagine, it's hard to see, because we never existed within this new paradigm. You've never had this option. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you try it, I think you won't want to go back, because this is in my opinion, a much, much, much better, safer, more transparent, fair, and ethical system. So this is why I'm so passionate. One of the many reasons I'm so passionate about Phenom Poker. So this is possible with Phenom, with blockchain technology. To my knowledge, this has never happened with another poker site, and no other poker site has or is currently doing this. Do you want to get involved with Phenom? You just go to joinphenom.com. You can make an account. And if you use the code Alec or go to joinphenom.com, Phenom will give you 200% deposit bonus on your first deposit. So any amount up to $4,000. So you deposit any amount up to $2,000 and you play on the site, Phenom will give you back $4,000. So it's pretty amazing, 200% plus sign-up bonus for playing on Phenom. There's a lot more videos on Phenom on this channel as well. If you want to get involved, have questions, there's like a whole walkthrough of Phenom, why it's different in so many ways. This is just one of the ways. It is a big way. I don't even know if it's the biggest way that Phenom is diametrically different than all the other poker sites. I'm super excited about it. So check that out, consciouspoker.com/blog. There's videos about that as well. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them as well. I know this was like a lot, and this is kind of a new idea, so I'm happy to answer any questions, onboard any of you that need help getting on board with Phenom as well. And hopefully, let's make poker a safer, better, more transparent place to play, so we can grow the industry, grow the game that we all love so much, and not have to deal with the stress. We could just focus on playing poker, having fun, and doing our best. So hope you enjoyed this. I'm Alec Torelli. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.